Hi, my name is Ashish, and in this video we will see exposure insights in Microsoft Defender. Exposure insights in Microsoft Security Exposure Management continuously aggregate security posture data and insights across workloads and resources into a single pipeline. Security Exposure Management is currently in public review, so let me just quickly log on to the portal and take it from there. Alright, you go to security.microsoft.com and when you are on the home screen, you come under Exposure Management, click on Exposure Insights. You see initiatives, metrics, recommendation, events. So when you're at the Exposure Insights, so what basically Exposure Insights does is it provides rich context around the security posture state of your asset inventory. CISOs or the other decision makers, risk owners, and security teams can use security insights and context to understand and manage exposure risk across the entire organization and to prioritize security efforts and investment. So Exposure Insights provides visibility and granular context around security posture state, and the insights enable administrator to break down organizational structure, security posture into manageable security projects. So if you will scroll down and you will see that how you can connect your SIM and XDR in one place to connect a workspace from here. So if you will connect a workspace, it will ask you to choose a workspace. Because I don't have many workspaces here, I'm not created, it's not giving me an option to do that. Otherwise you can do it. And if you see the ITDR deployment help protect your identities and identity infrastructure with Microsoft Defender for identity and Entra ID protection. Connected SaaS applications here. You will see Defender for Cloud Apps protects your SaaS apps with security configuration, recommendation, threat protection, and information protection. You can connect your SaaS apps here by clicking on this one. So when you talk about security initiatives, that this option, right? So what do they do? Security initiatives provide a simple way to assess security readiness for a specific security area or workload, and to constantly track and measure exposure risk for that area or workload over time. So Security Exposure Management provides initiatives that currently include workload initiatives, horizontal threat initiatives, threat analytics initiatives, zero trust initiatives, right? If you see external attack surface protection or ransomware protection, I don't have any data because this is my lab environment. Business email compromise, financial endpoint security, cloud security, business email, whatever. And domain initiatives. Business email compromise, financial fraud is a social engineering attack that aims to steal money or sensitive information. So if you scroll down to the right, you click on it, you can mark this as a favorite. You can set the target score. There is no change in the last 14 days. My target score for my organization, they have represented it to 99%. And these are the test or related metrics which are in the initiator. If you want to see all the metrics under this initiative, business email compromise, you will see here. These are total 27 items. And around these metrics, you can see the security recommendations. Create safe links policies for email messages. I am compliant. Enable conditional access policy to block legacy authentication. My tenant is non-compliant. If you click on it, it will give you the description. Why do they want us to enable conditional access policies to block legacy authentication? It will give you the remediation steps that I have to do as an admin. It will give you the related initiatives which are pulling out this data and giving me this recommendation. These are giving the related metrics as well. You can manage that in Microsoft Entra ID as well. If the SSO works fine, it will take you to that screen with your currently logged in ID. On the conditional access page, you can manage it from here. If you go back to the initiatives, and these are thread initiatives that are here. Open up the initiative page. Cadet Blizzard, related threads, active profile Cadet Blizzard, and these are the recommendations. Enable multi-factor authentication is enabled for all the users. If you click here, it will again take you to that page. And create a policy to enable the multi-factor authentication or conditional access to initiatives. And then there are zero trust initiatives. Let me search if I have them. Zero Trust Foundational. It says Zero Trust is a security strategy that follows three principles. Verify explicitly used least privilege access and assume breach. This initiative follows Microsoft Zero Trust Adoption Framework to help you identify next steps in your Zero Trust strategy. You can learn more about the Zero Trust Adoption Framework here. If you see the related metrics, open the initiative page. It will show you the security recommendations, and it will show you, give you the recommendation here. Create a custom activity policy to get alerts about suspicious usage patterns, and then you can, on the impact level, you can start working on those recommendations. If I sort it by high, enable conditional access policies to block legacy authentication. So many of the recommendations would overlap with many initiatives that you see under Exposure Insights for external attack surface management. Okay. Multi-factor authentication is enabled for administrative roles, intra-ID identity protection, sign-in risk policies, identity protection, user risk policies. Alright. And then there are initiative elements that I showed you here. These are initiative, security metrics, a recommendation, and the events or history. If you click on history, these are called initiative elements. Okay, it will give you the history of what your score have been all these time till date. Recommendation metrics. So metrics is a security initiative. It will help us to measure exposure risk for different areas within that initiative, right? Now, if you talk about working with the metrics, so if you will click on any of the initiatives and open up the metrics tab, when you see a 14-day trend, or when you see affected items, or total number of assets under the metric scope, the relative weight importance of the metric within the initiative, or the state, whether it shows whether the metric needs attention, the risk was mitigated outside security exposure management, the current value, the recommendations, or the last updated. So let's say if I click on this, 14 days, the related metrics, recommendations, right? And there are some metrics which are unavailable. So in some cases, metrics display grayed out because the underlying data for the metrics does not exist. So if you see, for instance, if a required workload is not onboarded, or if a secure score metric is set to completed or risk accepted in secure score, and security exposure management cannot access the metric data. And if you want to work with the recommendations, like here are the recommendations associated with this matrix. See the affected item, etc. Now this security exposure management ingests security recommendations from multiple sources, including Microsoft Defender for Cloud, running the Defender for Cloud Security Posture Management Plan or the Microsoft Secure Score. You can view the recommendation from the recommendation tab or review and remediate recommendations. Each recommendation would provide recommendation steps. So every action taken on a security recommendation would help to reduce the exposure and risk and improve the security posture. You see, it's non-compliant. So security exposure management categorizes recommendations by compliance status as compliant, non-compliant, or mitigated by organization or not available. And when you see the secure score section associated with a recommendation, it will help organization to plan and improve the overall security posture using the secure score as a tracking metric. So there are other scores associated which are monitoring and improving scores. So exposure state of a security initiative is reflected in the initiative score. Initiatives with metrics. For initiatives with metrics, the score is calculated based on the value and weight of metrics within the initiative, and initiatives without metrics. For threat initiatives that don't have metrics, this initiative score is calculated in the same way that secure score is calculated. And if you want to review the initiative history that you see on the history tab of an initiative, like here, you can track the history of changes greater than 2.5% that affect initiative score. You can filter for specific time points. You can drill down to specific changes. It is unchanged. If you can go for 1 week, right? No data available. 1 day. No data available. The score is 34.26%. And you can add a custom range as well. And it will show you the time where the initiative score percentage has changed or increased or went down. Alright. So this was all regarding the exposure insights, including initiatives, metrics, recommendations, events in Microsoft Defender. I hope this video was informative for every one of you. If you have any further queries, please mention them in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Have a good day ahead.